Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
Good evening. We appreciate your coming on the show. So now let's find out. We have seen all that INEC has put together. I was with the INEC press conference on Wednesday as well as on Thursday too. And what we observe is that the Commission says they are launching a website. They are launching a portal for Nigerians to have the opportunity to first of all start the registration process before they go to the field. But people are also asking questions. What about the situation where some persons may not be able to register because they do not have the knowledge of a computer? What will happen to them?
Thank you very much, Ijama, for having me once again. First and foremost, the credibility of any regular, free, fair, and credible election is predicated on the existence of a credible register. As a people, as a nation, following the effort that we have made collectively as a country since 2011 with the biometric register that we have for this country, we have been enjoying and we have been doing that following the provision of the Act that we must continue to maintain and update the National Register of Voters on a continuous basis, which under the leadership of Mahmoud Yakubu since 2017, April precisely, we have been doing. But as a background prelude to what we are about to launch on Monday, for a period of 25 years, we have been unable to create access to the Nigerian people to have more polling units. With the result that for 25 years, we have only been using 119,974 polling units. But as of today, after a long period, I've been able to break the record of being able to have additional 56,872 additional polling units added to the previous 119,974, making a total of 176,846 polling units for the entire country. And right here in Akwa, today, we now have 4,355 polling units. Now, because we need to do this on a regular basis, and that we are entering one of the most critical stages of preparation for 2023 election, we have to go out to register Nigerians. Now, it's going to come in two phases. First, we are launching the online voter registration exercise on Monday, in which case Nigerians, particularly the young people, with your laptop, with your Android phone, you go into the portal. Right on the portal, several services are going to be offered, shown to you. For the purpose of those who are coming for the first time, who have attained the age of 18, this is very important, that for this exercise, it is meant only for those who have attained the age of 18 above, and those who have not registered before. The portal will show to you if you are attending registrant. You go in there, put in your name, your data, everything, just similar to those of you who go to the embassy or go to immigration for passport, you do all of that. Then thereafter, you are expected to now even have a date and location and time by that exercise, because at the end of the exercise, you are going to get what they call a registration slip, not a TVC, not a temporary voter's card, but a slip, evidence that you have gone through that portal. And with the appointed time, you will now go to the location. And what we're also going to put on the website, you are going to see the next 48 hours, it's already ongoing, is that the pictures of the INEC offices where they are located in the local government, the 74 local government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are going to see them displayed. So that those of you who have done so online, when on the 19th of July, when you are going to physically come to have your biometric, you will be able to have access to that area. That is with respect to those who are going to go online. Now, to your direct question as to those who do not have access to laptop, computer, Android phone, and indeed to internet, the truth is that the first phase is the one I just mentioned. The second phase are those who are going to come in person, because majority of the Nigerian people are domiciled in the rural areas. They do not have access to that. So what we have done for the purpose of managing crowd, because with the pandemic and crisis and all that, the innovation for the online registration goes. So on a date to be announced by the commission, we are not going to have those who have not used the first opportunity to now come out Cali in the 2,673 centers that we are going to use, starting from on the 17th. Now, that on the 17th and on the 19th of July, those who have done online registration, who are coming on appointed time to have their biometric captured, as well as those who are going to come physical, we will start at the state Uyo office, for instance, and across all state capital, as well as local government. Then thereafter, we will now cascade, move down, because we know that some local government are so large that it's not possible for the Nigerian people to be able to access the local government offices. Therefore, we have created 2,673 centers. Mind you, we have just 774 local government to take into account all those who may not be able to go to the INEC local government head offices for that exercise. This is the arrangement that we have put in place. But very important here, by way of emphasis, is that if you look at the electoral process in this country, they are in phases. The first critical stage is what we're about to go into. That is why it is important to draw attention to Nigerians, particularly those who want to go and register, that this exercise, there are rules and regulations guiding them. One of which is that in this exercise, there are clear conducts, acts that are expressly prohibited by the law. One of which is what is contained in section 24, as well as part 8 of the Electoral Act, to the effect that on no account should any citizen of this country register on behalf of any person, whether living or dead or fictitious individual, on this register, because the register we have is a very credible one. We are building on it. And that punishment for any of such conduct could attract no less than 5 years. You could be given 5-year jail term. Right here in Akwa Ibom State, we're very, very firm on this. We know what we do here. Our people know that. And across the country, we are to be forewarned is to be forearmed that the commission, under the current leadership, we will not allow people to mess up a database that we have built up. And in any case, because the system we are using is biomodal, it is such that it is easy when you go to the portal. In fact, it's difficult for you to even attempt to want to register twice. But if there are other things that people try to do, it is better that you get it very clear that under the law,
okay,
you are not expected to do certain things. And this is very important as we go ahead as from a Monday and the subsequent days as announced by the Commission.
Yes, but Barrister Igini, I would like to take it from where you just spoke on registering for another person. Remember that even in Nigeria, we have had issues of people having to register twice. And there was even one very, very prominent Nigerian that was in the news.
Yes.
As a governor. But in the case of online, it is very possible that people who are very smart when it comes to handling issues of internet register as many persons as they can. And it all depends on if you can sue a professor, a returning officer, you can't just so it depends on the election officers that are on seat. How can they stop these multiple registrations? Where we have those that can hack into anything hackable.
Good. Now, the interesting thing here, Ijoma, is that we are aware of the behavior of our people. And what we are now doing, the system we are bringing on board, the machine we are bringing on board now, like a tablet, is an improvement on the DDCN machine. It's a biometric deduplication system. It has the capacity to detect that and reject that. Because once you go into that portal, you cannot register twice. As a matter of fact, for those who want to do transfer, for those who have issues with respect to inability for their biometric to be captured in past elections, and for those who have lost or defaced PVC, those services are provided on the portal. Once you click into that particular one of interest to you, for instance, you want to do a transfer, the system is such that once you put in your data, because your data is already there, and that's why you are not required to do fresh registration. Go to the fresh registration platform, you go for that of transfer, you go for that of misspelled name, lost, defaced, and all of that. So once you go into that, it will take your picture again. You are required to take your picture in your system, whatever system you are using. Then, because the system is connected, it will first confirm, the system will first confirm whether the current picture, it doesn't matter whether you registered in 2011, because your picture is already in the system, all right, in our data system, it will confirm before it will allow you to proceed to the next level. So the good news here, IEJ, is that since, as it said in the Things Fall Apart, that men have learned to shoot without missing, the birds have also learned to fly without perching. So we are fully aware of the electoral ecosystem that we are in. And that's why we are warning that all those conducts that are capable of undermining the credibility and integrity of the electoral process, that should be avoided. But clearly, that we'll be able to track that. In any case, don't forget that assuming that you have decided to, as an underage person, you are still going to come to INEC, because the process will be completed when you come to INEC office for your biometrics. That is for new registrants. But for the odd people, other categories, once you go that process, it is difficult for you to do some of the things that you have alluded to. And in any case, in this 2023 election, please take note. In the last few elections, 2011, 2015, and 2019, we were doing only biometric accreditation. But by 2023, we are going to do what we call facial accreditation. You must go through that process. So irrespective of people, what you have, if you make such claim in your database, it will be immaterial, because on that day, if for any reason, all this shenanigans, oh, my biometric was not, could not be read, so let us go for a direct voting. No, if we cannot, capture, or rather cannot confirm your biometric, we can also confirm your face. You cannot run away from that. So 2023, the system we are introducing is that you are going to go through that process. So facial accreditation as well as biometric accreditation. So you cannot run anywhere. You can't run anywhere. That is what we are putting in place. But what we are asking Nigerians is to abide by that we are going to put in place, because all these processes they are not self-executory. It requires all of us coming together to make it work.
But Mr. Igini, let's take it to the possibility of some persons. You know that the legal framework that we have in Nigeria today, it does not accept e-voting system or anything that has to do with electronic processes in election. And election begins from the registration. At this time of registration, people are already complaining that something might happen to the portal. Peradventure, some persons goes to INEC do.
For now, that is a bit is speculative. It's an assumption that something will happen. So the difficulty in responding to the assumption is that all I can say about that is that we are starting off on Monday. If there are any issues, we have the capacity to deal with it. But in terms of law, please, nobody should be under any illusion. As far as we know, the moment there's Trinity, there's moment the judiciary, I call it the bench, they remain standing tall and mighty in defense of democracy and the rule of playing their role as it ought to be. A Peter of our laws, we have no problem with that because before the 2015 elections, Section 52 had been amended, subsection 2, that now prohibited the use of electronic means. Now, the new amendment that was signed into law March before the 2015 election is to the effect that the procedure to be adopted for election shall be in accordance with what will be determined by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Furthermore, and perhaps far more important, from the ground norm, from the Constitution of the Fatherland, Section 160, and I've been drawing attention of this all along to my colleagues in the bench, that your duty is to look at that provision. And what the provision says, it says that apart of all the executive bodies set up by Section 153 of the Constitution, that whereas several of those bodies, they are about to make rules and regulations may be subject to approval and authority of other bodies. That section that was amended before 2015 election was to the effect, and you see there that the power of the Independent National Electoral Commission to make rules or otherwise regulate the procedure shall not be subject to any other authority, because this is an electoral management body. This body is a regulator of elections in Nigeria. We are both a regulator and a manager of elections in Nigeria. Whereas the power of lawmaking under Section 4 belongs to the National Assembly that cannot be transferred if it is, however, can be delegated. And the National Assembly itself has also delegated powers to us under Section 153 of the Electoral Act to make rules and regulations that should guide everything contained in the Electoral Act, so that the integrity of the electoral process, giving meaning and purpose to the ballot as the best means of expression of the will of the people achieve. And that is why it is important that the proposed amendment that we have right now in the National Assembly is going to be in our best interest, in the interest of all of us, to see that that thing as quickly as we can, given the very commendable and profound provisions that are contained therein, that will further strengthen the process, that it should be passed now. Yes, I think my closing thought, very quick few seconds, right? My closing thought on the imperative of the amendment B, that the cost benefit of passing it have shown that it will be in our best interest, because critical stakeholders are going to be affected, and the greatest set of people, and that's why I'm calling our colleagues, my friends in National Assembly, who have been adversely affected by the failure to reform primary process and further reform of the process have been members of the National Assembly. And I give you the following figures to round up. 1, the failure to reform the primary process and all of that into strengthen INEC led to a situation where in 2003, of the entire members of the National Assembly who were elected in 1999, only 70% returned to the National Assembly. 30% could not, only 30% that returned, 70% could not return. In 2007, only 76% of members of the National Assembly did not return on account of the failure to reform that process. Only 24% returned. In 2011, 68% of members of the National Assembly could not return back, not because they are not likely to win an election if subjected to the people, but because of the kind of primary process, which is the control of at the state level. 68% did not return, only 32% return. In 2015, a whole number, 69%, when they also failed to do reform, they could not return. And finally, by 2019, 56% of members of the National Assembly did not return. So it's their best interest to do it, knowing fully well that when you do it, it is for everybody, because like the cock in a community, when it crows, its crow is for the entire neighborhood. It's their best interest to do so, because if it is well with the hunter, it will be well with the hunter's back. That is my message to the Nigerian people, particularly our friends in the National Assembly who are doing a commendable job with what we have seen in the draft amendment.